today we are going to talk about flexibility. When we think about flexibility, a lot of us think stretching, aerobics, um, and actually it can be defined as bending easily or without breaking, but also it's the ability to easily be modified or um, what I really want to focus on is the willingness to change or compromise in your flexibility. So when we think about that ability to compromise, it we're giving an understanding of life flexibility, right? And in life, it's we have to adjust to change. Um, if we can adjust to change, then it allows us to avoid or create stress and drama in our lives. It allows us to adapt to new situations easily. We can open our mind and we can say, this situation isn't what I want it to be. I can be flexible. I can make changes. I can make this turn into something of good, or I can make this work for whatever situation I'm in. Those are the things that we talk about when we talk about mind flexibility. So we look at our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And really, if we think about it, if we think about our ideas or our attitudes or our perceptions, how we're feeling, um, and again, like we are looking at basic feelings happy, sad, mad, frustrated, surprised, anxious. Um, they are all just the behaviors or the actions that we take, right? Because one, we are unwilling to be flexible. We are unwilling to make change. We are unwilling to compromise. So we use our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors um, to make ideas about the situation, to use our attitude, to use our perceptions. We get mad or frustrated, even sad. Again, I will say it. I get even when I'm mad, I'm sad because I cry or um, that's my coping mechanism. And so understanding how we can change these thoughts and feelings and behaviors to help us modify those stressors in our lives and allow us to be more flexible in things that are happening, whether that's being told that we're coming, that you're no longer allowed to telework 3 days a week. You can only telework 1 day a week. And so how is that going to affect your schedule? How is that going to change things in your life? Like that might make you mad. That might make you frustrated. But how are you going to turn that in your mind to make that a positive? How are you going to bend and be flexible and say, okay, I'm going to make this work? When we think about our connections between our thoughts and our feelings and our behaviors, um, it's really like our thoughts create our feelings and our feelings drive our behaviors, right? And I like to show um, this diagram of thoughts and feelings because it really are thoughts are ideas and again perceptions, opinions based on things that we think or things that are happening. Um, where feelings are emotions and they're reactions to events. Um, and with our thoughts, that can trigger a reaction or an emotional response. And when we experience our thoughts later as we grow up and gain more experience, then we tend to experience sometimes feelings first. Um, and then, thoughts can also be just a little bit more complex. Um, and feelings tend to be simple, but in my um, years of dealing with emotions on all levels, sometimes I think our feelings can be a little bit more complex, also depending on what what the situation is. So these aren't always necessarily true, but just understanding how they connect. You know, if you are thinking about a parent who has passed away, that's going to promote feelings of sadness, right? Or if you're thinking about your child getting ready to have a child of their own, that might bring on happiness. So just understanding how our thoughts also affect our feelings will really help us understand how that in turn can allow us to use that compromise and flexibility. So when we think about the core belief cycle, um, we're just looking at, again, how our beliefs affect our thoughts, and our thoughts affect our feelings, and our feelings in turn go to our actions, and then our actions give us experiences, right? So basically, how we're thinking is how we're going to feel about it, and then those feelings are going to trigger an action. And those actions are what is going to give us our experiences. So if we can flip the script and understand that if we are having irrational thoughts and those are giving us irrational emotions, we know that we are going to have irrational actions, which are going to have negative consequences and experiences. So if we can retrain our brain to understand that we need to be flexible, that we need to understand the circumstances that we're in, that they can be changed, modified, or something that we may need to just walk away from, that will in turn assist in our feelings, which will change our actions and change the experimental outcome, right? Kind of like science. So we're talking about dealing with negative thoughts, and we can say, I say it all the time, talking it out, right? Like I'm a strong supporter of talking it out and practicing self care. I think those are the top two things that we can do when dealing with anything negative. But that doesn't always work for everybody. So for some people, it's exercise or um, learning relaxation. Excuse me, identifying your triggers. So, what was it that you were unable to adjust that continued to give you negative thoughts? Like, it's okay to question your thought pattern. Like, where did I go wrong that I just couldn't get out of that headspace? That is always okay. Um, but after that, you do want to talk it out. You want to say, okay, what did I do wrong? How can I change this next time? Maybe I need to make a pro and con list. Maybe I do need to learn, relaxation techniques. Like I could feel myself getting hot in the face. I was flushed and my heart was racing. So now I need to do some meditation or some deep breathing. Um, Talking it out helps you realize those those thought patterns. Or maybe it's, man, I just need to go run it off. I need to, go outside. It's nice and run a mile and get those endorphins going, and that's going to help me. But that's also self care. Um, or maybe it's going to the grocery store by yourself and just you're angry and maybe you fill your cart with a bunch of stuff you don't need, but at the same time, like, that's your self care. Like, I just need a junk food day, and that's going to make me feel better because I did not handle dealing with my negative thoughts well. But then we look dealing with negative emotions, right? So we're going to identify them. Um, we may need to re-engage our actions. We have to acknowledge our feelings. I I am always a strong supporter of validating everyone's feelings because in that moment we all feel the way we feel for whatever reason. But then later it is okay to go back and reframe our thinking. It is okay to relax. It is okay to ask for help, whether that be therapy, a friend, a colleague, a mentor, whatever, to say, well, one, it could be either you're apologizing for the way that, maybe you overreacted. Um, I have had my fair share of breakdowns and had to come back later and be like, I just was not in control of my own, and I apologize for that. I would not normally have behaved in that manner. Or um, just knowing that it's okay to feel that way in the moment, but if you know that in some way those negative emotions are affecting somebody else, or that they're a little extreme, to acknowledge them and to identify them, then that's where we're making those flexible changes, right? Because we are understanding that, hey, I'm identifying that that wasn't okay. That's not per se normal to react like that. It may be okay to do in the privacy of my own home, but maybe not okay to do in the workplace or out with a group of friends. And it's also okay to say, I need to get some help. I need to talk to somebody. I need to feel better about what I'm dealing with. Oh, negative behaviors. These are what can really get us in trouble, right? So we want to learn. We want to use positive reframing. We really want to change those emotions, because if we don't, we will have these negative behaviors. But then we also want to have empathy. We want to cultivate empathy. We want to know that we have to be empathetic to the situations around us, that not everybody thinks, feels, has the same morals, same values as we do. Our core values are different than somebody else's. We talked about that last week. Um, try not to take things personally. I am just as bad at this as everybody else. So understanding that not everything is an attack, or um, constructive criticism is okay. It is, if we can try and be flexible and understanding that it's not personal, then our negative behaviors are going to change. Understanding that kindness will go a long way. Sometimes with those negative behaviors, like, we're saying, man, that, whatever we're dealing with, it's just as easy to be just as negative. But I have found that when I have reframed my negative into, I'm going to kill them with kindness, it has been way more productive for me and harder for them. So thinking about an individual that you may, not be able to deal with. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it was, a previous, colleague. Maybe it was a neighbor. Um, and now, you don't get along for whatever reason. And I have found that as nasty or negative behaviors, negative emotions, negative, talk that they can give, as long as I'm kind, as long as anytime I see them, I'm saying hello, as long as anytime I'm seeing them, I'm saying, how's your day? That, to me, I'm not having behaviors. I'm not having negative emotions. I'm being flexible about what I'm thinking, and I'm allowing myself to, just practice acceptance of everything around me. Because as much as I want to be that negative Nancy, I want to be mean or not say anything or turn and walk the other way, I'm saying, nope, I'm going to be the bigger person. I'm being flexible with my feelings. I'm being flexible with my emotions. I'm being flexible in my life to say, I am not going to allow somebody else's thoughts to affect me. Sometimes it's nice to just sit and read. And I love quotes. I think they make me feel better because they're short, they're sweet. I love to read too, but sometimes it's just nice to know, like Albert Einstein, the measure of intelligence is the ability to change, right? So I don't know if he's trying to say that that makes me more intelligent because I have the ability to change, or if that makes me, dumber because I don't. So for me, I mean, I can remember when my son was little, he always wanted to be he was Albert Einstein for a project at school, and then he was Albert Einstein for Halloween, and um, he just wanted to be as smart as Albert Einstein. So I wonder, how smart does that make me if I have the ability to change? And then I also like, that which yields is not always weak. So, it's okay to bend. It is okay to say I'm I'm not going to allow what what I would think is strong and overpowering to win. I'm okay. It's okay to be weak. It's okay to show my feelings. It's okay to talk about them. It's okay to express them. Um, it's it's okay. Um, and even the human capacity for burden is like bamboo, far more flexible than you'd ever believe at first glance. You do not think that bamboo is flexible, but man, when you see those pandas like bending it this way and that, it it's not breaking. So understand that you're not going to break. You won't break from being flexible. You it may hurt a little bit at first, but in the end, I believe that you will be a much better person for yourself and those that you serve, those that you care about, those that you work with, because of your ability to bend and be flexible. Some great TED Talks here on cognitive flexibility and embracing growth. Um, I love TED Talks. You can use them for not only flexibility, but we have them on core values, on problem solving, on um, stress and resiliency. I have some great ones on stress and resiliency I'd love to share, but they're really long. Um, and mindfulness and meditation. So please use the resources here. And when you get in, if you go into the TED Talks and you're listening, they're great to listen to on your way to work. Um, and another good one is Brene Brown and her podcast. She's wonderful. I think she gives more of an empowering sense, and it's it's really great to have that ability to just feel good about the changes that you're making in your life. So if you do have any more questions or want more resources, please reach out. I'm always available.